This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
I have my little grocery list here.
I went yesterday to the grocery store today.
I have to.
You are brave.
I thought I had enough potatoes, but I don't.
I couldn't find a parking spot at Kroger yesterday. Yeah. I'm just going to tell you that now.
You couldn't? So what'd you do? Just leave?
Oh, I circled. I stopped. I made sure I got in, got my stuff, good to go.
And here's the thing. You can always park far out. Everybody wants to be up front. A good brisk walk does all of us good.
You have not been to the Clifton Kroger because it's a small parking lot.
It's a parking lot.
Yeah, but brisk is the word to use for today for sure. Anybody heading out, it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy, it's going to feel very brisk as you're briskly walking on a day like today. The front is now moving out of our area, so the drizzle that we were watching with it is also pushing off towards the east. The clouds are clearing, and they're making for a cool sunrise like this. This is the shot in our SkyTrack camera downtown looking off towards the east. But what you cannot tell on this camera is how cold it is. Yeah, we have now dropped to 44 degrees in Louisville. Keep in mind, when I came into work around 2 a.m., we were in the 50s. So that just shows you the significant drop that we've already seen with the wind around. We're feeling like the 30s for everyone, seeing a wind chill right now in Louisville of 36 degrees. That wind still gusting between 20 and 30 miles per hour in most spots. Going to keep those wind gusts throughout the rest of the morning into the afternoon, which means wind chills this afternoon only in the upper 20s and low 30s. So dress a little bit more warmly than you would have to for this morning. But overall, for most of the day, we'll get that mix of sun and clouds. We'll get the cold temperatures, and that wind will continue to be a factor. Rob.
Okay, Tawana, and with that, you might want to grab a jacket if you're heading out on the roadways today. The good thing is if you're heading out to maybe an event or you're heading to a loved one's home today for Thanksgiving, no major problems out there. This is 65 at Muhammad Ali Boulevard. Nice, clear, dry conditions. We hope it stays like that throughout the rest of the day. The big picture showing us a lot of green out there, a couple little yellow spots showing us a few disabled vehicles, but nothing that's going to really slow your travels as of now. It's going to get busier throughout the day, so certainly watch your speed. Also today, drivers, they're going to see traffic changes on I-64. There will be lane closures on I-64 and I-265 as well. Crews will be doing bridge work, maintenance work. It'll include alternating lane closures on the flyover ramps. That's from I-64 East to I-264 North and I-265 North to I-64 West. That'll be underway from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Shannon.
Thank you. We know tens of millions of people will be heading out for Thanksgiving.
Yesterday kicked off what experts say is going to be a record-breaking year for holiday travel. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke is live at the airport this morning. How's it going out there, Marissa?
Well, the TSA lines look pretty clear, which was not the case about an hour or so ago. So shout out to all the TSA agents. Airport officials are advising flyers to arrive a few hours earlier than their flights to account for all the people that may be in the check-in and TSA lines. And I did talk to some travelers this morning who missed their original flights. AAA says that 82 million people will travel 50 miles from home, and 73 million of them are driving, which is a new record. Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport is expecting to see more than 30,000 flyers over the next week. SCF officials say it's best to arrive 2 hours before your domestic flight and 3 before international ones. Sunday is expected to be the busiest travel day.
If you're traveling on Sunday, that is going to be the busiest travel day. Sunday and Monday, really, for return flights and for returning by car. So you want to get up and get out extra early if you're driving.
If you're getting on the road, AAA says the busiest times will be today between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. and then Sunday and Monday between that same window. And for those who may be taking some Christmas gifts home with them when they're traveling for Thanksgiving, leave them unwrapped. TSA agents may have you undo that good wrapping paper just to see what items you may have. And if you're also traveling with bourbon maybe for Thanksgiving, you want to put that in your checked bag. And again, arrive a little bit earlier, because I did meet some people who thought they arrived early enough, but they still ended up missing their flights. Back to you guys.
Definitely don't want that to start off the holiday. Thank you, Marissa. And a heads up, weather in other parts of the country could impact your travel plans, even though things are good here. Might not be the case elsewhere. Here's a look at the flight status page on SDF's website. Looks like we have about 4 delays right now, so make sure you check with your airlines before you get to the airport too to make sure. But everything else seems to be on time for the rest of the day, so make sure you check that out before you head there and cross your fingers for sure.
Today, some business owners near the UPS plane crash site will be able to go back to their buildings. Metro leaders say phase 1 of the cleanup process is ahead of schedule. This means security checkpoints around the crash site are being reduced. Customers and workers at businesses on Grade Lane between Don Hudson Boulevard south to the Outer Loop will be allowed to return to their property. Metro Emergency Services Executive Director Jody Myman says even though this is a big step in recovery, crews are still running into cleanup challenges.
The contractor that's picking up the aircraft debris, they're getting into a location where there's a lot more of it, and they're bringing in extra personnel so that they can overcome and it doesn't slow them down.
Phase 2 will involve opening businesses on Grade Lane north of Don Hudson to Crittenden Drive. LG&E crews are also working on restoring electric lines on Melton Avenue and the gas lines on Melton and Knopp Avenues.
This morning, we're learning more about the 2 LMPD officers who shot and killed a robbery suspect over the weekend. One of the officers was previously involved in another deadly shooting. Police say officers Patrick Norton and Richard Waller shot the man on East Southland Boulevard Saturday night. LMPD says the 2 were investigating a robbery when they approached the man who they say was a suspect. Police say the officers shot the man after he pulled out a gun. The name of that man killed has not been released yet. Officer Patrick Norton is a K-9 handler and part of the Special Operations Division. He's been with the department since 2016. Officer Norton has several commendations and disciplines on his record. He's faced discipline for excessive use of force, violating pat-down procedures, and body camera procedures, along with other violations. In total, Norton has been suspended for 35 days for all violations on his record. We've previously reported that Norton and another officer shot and killed Shelby Gazaway at the Kroger on North 35th Street in 2019. Gazaway was accused of firing a gun inside the store during an argument. LMPD says Gazaway then shot at officers in the parking lot before they returned fire, killing Gazaway. The Commonwealth Attorney's Office found Norton and the other officer were entitled to use deadly force. Gazaway's family filed a lawsuit against LMPD in 2020. The family claims LMPD did not release proper information about the shooting and did not try to use any de-escalation tactics. The other officer who fired his weapon at the suspected robber is Officer Richard Waller. He's a member of the 4th Division and has been with the department since 2022. He has several commendations and no disciplines on his record.
New on Sunrise, a man's recovering after LMPD says he was shot in the Portland neighborhood. It happened on North 17th Street around 11:30 last night. Investigators say the man was shot in the leg. He was taken to Uvell Hospital and expected to survive. Police have not made any arrests. And a man who police say shot a man in the Russell neighborhood will make his first court appearance today. Jared Dennis is charged with assault. Police say he shot the victim in the leg on West Chestnut Street near 26th Street in October. An arrest report says police used security video to identify Dennis. Officers also recovered 5 guns from his home during a search warrant. Police say one of those guns matched a casing found at the scene. Dennis is scheduled in court this morning at 9. So more than 20 Jefferson County public schools have been targeted for closure as a cost-saving move, and we're learning more about how these schools landed on the chopping block.
Rob Wells is back with a closer look and reaction from those potentially affected. Rob?
Good morning, Olivia. As JCPS navigates its budget deficit, the possibility of schools closing their doors is becoming likely. The district releasing what's called its Facility Profile Index, which was used to determine the first round of proposed closures. It's all part of the district's wider plan to address a $188 million budget shortfall. It classifies 23 schools across the district as critical. Now, that's based on operating costs, the school's overall condition, and enrollment percentages. The schools at risk of closing, relocating, or one of consolidating. The first round of proposed changes could cut some $4 million out of the budget. Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood addressed the possible changes last week.
These are difficult decisions, but these are necessary to preserve the future of our district.
Community forums are scheduled for the very first 3 days of December. That's when the district is planning on addressing additional questions about the proposed closures and changes. Those meetings are Monday at Kammerer Middle School, Tuesday at the JCPS Center for Professional Learning, and next Wednesday at the Academy at Shawnee. A final decision expected December 9th during a board meeting vote. Back over to you.
Thank you, Rob. Well, if you already started shopping, maybe thinking about Black Friday deals, some may seem too good to be true.
Hear from an expert on how to avoid scams and fake deals online. That's next. Before another winter season arrives, Louisville Metro Public Works says they've upgraded their snow plan.
Yeah, the city says after last year's historic winter weather, they brought in consultants to review Louisville's snow program and find ways to make it better. New this year, Public Works has 8 new dump trucks, 3 new pickup trucks, 16 new brine tanks, and they've also upgraded the actual snowplow blades, making them sturdier so drivers can keep them out on the roads longer. The snow team now has more than 200 people using more than 100 pieces of snow fighting equipment and 32,000 tons of salt, and the truck routes have also been updated.
Our snow routes are focused on roads which carry the most traffic and those critical to connecting people to large employment areas, neighborhoods, schools, medical facilities, and hospitals.
They also say there's a new interactive Metro snow map, so that'll show you the status of the roads that the city treats. While the Metro says it has added more streets over time, leaders are warning people Metro will not plow roads that it does not service, so you do need to make other plans. And of course, you can go to the weather app too, because you guys have the forecast out, obviously, the forecast, but the snow forecast.
Yeah, we keep saying you've got your Thanksgiving brain. It's okay. Yeah. Yes, but also, I mean, thinking about the potential for snow this winter, I don't know if I'm ready for it.
Yeah, keep in mind, we do have the traffic updates in the Wave Weather app, and we just got a brand new update to the weather app as well. So feel free to send us your feedback on that. But hey, things are looking pretty good in our area this morning in terms of any precipitation, but we're still watching these multiple systems pushing through portions of the Great Lakes and the Northeast. If you're traveling in those areas today, keep in mind that you could run into some delays, some issues, some cancellations. So just giving you that heads up right now. Here at home, we watch that front moving further and further away from us. Behind it, your temperatures are dropping quickly. We're also seeing some waves of clouds and breaks in those clouds across the region this morning. So keep in mind as we continue throughout the morning, yes, we'll get some sunshine, adding in some clouds as you get into the late late morning and afternoon, and then watching for that mix of sun and clouds through the afternoon with a little bit of clearing showing up for this evening. Here is the view in Starlight, Indiana. You see the lower level clouds overhead, some peaks of sunshine in between, and check out right now that flag just whipping in the wind as the wind continues to pick up. So most of us now seeing wind gusts between 25 and 35 miles per hour to start off the day. And keep in mind, the wind does look to remain this strong throughout the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. A note with this, it mainly looks to be a westerly wind. So if you're traveling on any north-south roadways like 65, this is where you're going to run into that extra push, especially if you have a higher profile vehicle. Temperatures have been dropping consistently throughout the morning with that front moving through. 37 degrees in Paoli, 39 in Bedford and Seymour, 52 still in Columbia, where that colder air hasn't gotten to just yet. But with the wind, wind chills are dropping, feeling more like 30 degrees right now in Paoli, feeling like 35 in Shelbyville, feeling like 36 degrees at the airport in Louisville. And keep in mind, these wind chills will also drop. Temperatures will hover in the upper 30s and low 40s as the day goes along, but we're going to feel like near the freezing mark through the second half of the morning into the afternoon. So that is what you want to dress for. Rolling into tomorrow, ending up with some extra clouds overhead for your Thursday morning, but still going to be cold then with temperatures in the 20s and low 30s. By your Thursday afternoon, we should see a little bit more of that sunshine coming our way then, with highs still only in the 30s. So Thanksgiving is looking chilly. So if you need another excuse to wear sweatpants, there you go, other than the food, of course. And then on your Friday, we are going to get plenty of sunshine around the area. So if you're shopping, the coat will be very helpful for you. Don't forget the gloves either as you snag all of those deals. Rolling into the weekend, here comes our next system. It really looks to arrive late Saturday into Sunday. Now, depending on the track of this low, we could see a little bit of that snow on the onset. If it goes a little bit further to the north, then we're mainly talking rain. But if we see this low pushing further south, that means more snow in our forecast. So this is something to watch by the time we get into the second half of your Sunday drying out. But yet another system will bring more of that wintry weather late Monday into Tuesday. So hello, winter, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
That was a crazy laugh there.
Oh my goodness. I am inundated right now with emails. 75% off, 50% off, 30% off for Black Friday.
Yeah,
So,
they're trying to tempt you.
yeah, and you know what? It's kind of working.
Yeah, and with so many options out there for consumers online, there's an increased risk a scammer could be trying to lure people into a bad deal. White News reporter Julia Richardson talked to the Better Business Bureau about trends and tips for this holiday season.
These scams are getting easier and easier to fall for.
Whitney Adkins with the Better Business Bureau says scammers are changing their methods, even using AI to make a website or an ad look more convincing. Adkins says while online shopping scams are common, scammers are even going a step further.
Scam sites that mirror legitimate sites. Dick's Sporting Goods, this happens with them a lot for some reason. We get a lot of complaints of folks who think they were ordering from an ad for Dick's Sporting Goods for a sale, and then the website itself looks very convincing, but it turns out to be a scam, fraudulent copycat site.
Other common scams, I'm told, have to do with packages, whether it's a text claiming to be from a mailing service or a fake job listing to handle other people's packages.
What we've seen a lot is Indeed listings or other job site listings for what's called a reshipping scam, a reshipping job. And this is typically a job listing for something like package inspector, package shipper, handler, but it involves receiving other people's packages at your home and then sending them out to a provided address.
And while pets are a common holiday gift, some have communicated with people claiming to be breeders about animals that do not exist.
And usually the scammer will make up a bunch of different lies about, oh, well, you need to pay for the freight, or you need to pay for extra insurance before we can deliver the animal. And they will keep making up more and more fake fees until the victim catches on.
Adkins says while older people can fall for scams due to not being as tech savvy, the BBB has seen a rise in younger people falling for them too.
Yes, they are in general very savvy when it comes to tech or being online in general, but that just means they're being hit more often.
Atkins says when it comes to websites, look at them carefully for anything that might seem off. And if there's a deal on a product that seems too good to be true, it most likely is. In terms of pet scams, the BBB recommends people see the pet in person before handing over any money. And one of the biggest tips she has, do your research, look up a company, and read the reviews before you go any further. Don't want to ruin those holiday gifts by getting scammed.
That's right. Well, we're getting ready to enjoy Thanksgiving, and in New York, they're getting ready for a big parade.
We'll tell you how thousands are preparing for this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade tomorrow.
As people are prepping their food for tomorrow's Thanksgiving dinner, the Louisville Fire Department is reminding families to be extra careful when cooking this holiday season.
Fire Chief Brian O'Neill says the most common runs he sees are regular kitchen fires around the holidays.
You may see some commercials or other little news pieces about people dumping a turkey into a vat of oil. Well, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've seen a run like that one time. But I can tell you something I've done hundreds of times is regular kitchen fires. That's what we see on the holidays are kitchen fires. So please, please, please be safe, be careful. You know who you are if you haven't fired up the kitchen in months and months, but now you're going to do it for this big holiday. Make sure that oven is clean. Make sure the stovetop is clean. Make sure you do a dry run, that everything is working properly. Please create like a no-go zone for a couple of feet around that stove.
He says unattended cooking is the #1 reason for cooking fires, so make sure you're paying close attention.
In New York, they are getting ready for the 99th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Rehearsals kicked off Tuesday night in front of Macy's flagship store in Manhattan. Music stars like Conan Gray, Broadway musical cast, including Ragtime and the University of North Alabama Marching Pride, took a turn at the main stage. It's a chance to get out those last-minute nerves, make sure everything is good to go for tomorrow morning. Through rain or shine, thousands of volunteers will get suited up and parade ready.
So it has to be easy, it has to be labeled, it has to be signage, lots of people to help. We have about 120 dressers and operational people. They all stand at every rack, so everyone has help getting in and out of costumes.
Wow, they're already getting ready for next year's 100th anniversary of the parade. That'll be a big deal. You can watch Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade right here on Wave, starting at 8:30.
And later that night, Joe Burrow could potentially get the green light to square off against Lamar Jackson for a holiday showdown. The Bengals star has been sidelined with a turf toe injury since week 2 this season, but his quick progress could have him suited up for Thursday's game. The Ravens got off to a rocky 1-5 start, but they've won 5 straight games. Kickoff for the AFC matchup is set for 8:20 p.m. Grammy Award-winning artist Lil Jon set to perform the halftime show, so a lot of stars will be out there on the field. So exciting.
I know, and so many hits Lil Jon has.
Turned down for what?
I know.
That's going to be the theme all weekend.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good morning. I'm Shannon Kogan. Tens of millions of people are on the roads and in the skies as the Thanksgiving travel rush is in full swing. Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport is expecting more than 30,000 travelers over the next week. Travel experts say it's good to get to the airport 2 hours before a domestic flight, 3 hours beforehand if you're traveling internationally. Now, weather in other parts of the country could impact travel plans. This is a look at the current flight status, and good news, everything mostly pretty much on time, just a few delays, so just check that status. But isn't that nice to see on time, on time, on time? Now, here's Tawana to tell us what we're looking at with the weather.
By the way, if you're flying out of Louisville today, you may have to deal with a little bit of turbulence because of that wind that we're still seeing strong across the region this morning. But those pilots are experts. They know exactly what they're doing. We're watching some breaks in the clouds here and there, and we're seeing some of that showing up on our SkyTrack camera. But notice how much the camera is shaking, and that flag is flying this morning. The wind already gusting to near 30 miles per hour in some locations. Going to keep your wind gusts between that 25 and 35 mile per hour range throughout the day. With the wind coming out of the west, keep in mind that it is going to really have impacts on north-south roadways as you're traveling. Temperatures quickly falling behind that front. A lot of us in those 30s and low 40s right now, mainly feeling like the 30s though with the wind. We're only talking about temperatures hovering in the 40s for this afternoon with wind chills near the freezing mark. Rob.
Tawana, thanks so much. If you're heading out on the roads today for your holiday travels, you're going to have a lot of company out there. But the good part right now at 7:28 on this Wednesday morning, pre-Thanksgiving, no major traffic tie-ups or accidents. We have a couple of disabled vehicles there showed by the little yellow icons, but otherwise no problems. Your drive times right now, 10 minutes and under on the major metros. Make it a great and safe morning.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday morning to you and happy Thanksgiving Eve. And especially good morning for those people who are waking up, already enjoying their holiday break. And for those people who are waking up early for work, I am so sorry you still got to go to work. We have college basketball on slate tonight. We'll have a preview of some of those games coming up, plus a lot of national headlines. But we want to start with an update on the UPS plane crash site. Metro leaders say contractors in charge of the cleanup site are actually ahead of schedule, and businesses located in phase 1 will be allowed to go back as early as today. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franceschini shares what business owners should know.
This is changing on a weekly basis to the good because so many contractors are ahead of schedule.
There finally seems to be some light at the end of the tunnel for the 90 businesses affected by the UPS plane crash. On Wednesday, the first set of companies will be allowed back to work inside their buildings. Those are the businesses on Great Lane from Dunn Hudson Boulevard south to the Outer Loop. It's part of a phased approach to the cleanup process. Part 2 would be opening the Great Lane businesses north of Dunn Hudson to Crittenden Drive. But Metro Emergency Services Executive Director Jody Myman says phase 2 is taking a little longer.
Some of those buildings are still being cleaned off by the contractors. And they're just making sure that there's no residual from smoke, from particulate that may have settled down during the fire. There is some oil that got to some of the buildings.
According to LG&E, crews have restored electric and gas service to Great Lane.
We are now closely coordinating with Louisville Metro Emergency Services and responding agencies on site to determine when customers can safely access their properties.
Liz Pratt with LG&E says crews are now working on electric lines on Melton Avenue and gas lines on both Melton and Knopf Avenues. That's the area in phase 3 of the cleanup process. Officials asking those business owners to be patient.
We have operational period meetings every Monday on, we talk about the goals and objectives that have been accomplished over the last 7 days. And then all the agencies that are a part of this are coming in with their goals and objectives for the next 7 days.
So the Community Resource Center, which has been helping people impacted by the crash, will actually be closed Thursday and Friday because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Officials say you can still call the hotline, though, for information. The former Trimble County Sheriff, who was arrested and charged with sexual abuse for an incident while in office, has accepted a plea deal. 53-year-old Charles Kelton is accused of grabbing the victim's hip and pulling her against him despite her physically and verbally rejecting his advances. He was charged with first-degree sexual abuse. Under the plea deal, the charge was amended to one charge of harassment with physical contact. Kelton was sentenced to 45 days in jail, but will not have to serve any time if he doesn't violate any terms of the deal for 2 years. That includes not breaking any more laws or having contact with the victim. A new autopsy report is revealing more about how a man died after he was reported missing in southern Indiana. 43-year-old Robert Bragman was reported missing on November 17th. His body was discovered near a walking trail just west of Salem on Saturday. The coroner's report says Bragman likely died from an issue with his heart caused by hypothermia. Indiana State Police say no foul play is suspected. Police are still waiting on toxicology results. The Indiana House will reconvene next week to make a final decision on redrawing Indiana's congressional districts. The issue of redrawing Indiana's congressional maps mid-cycle has received a lot of attention. President Trump has criticized Governor Mike Braun and Republican leadership in the state for not hosting a special session sooner. President Trump believes Republicans could gain more seats in Congress if voting maps are changed. Indiana House Speaker Todd Huston says he supports the redistricting effort. Senate President Pro Tem Rod Bray says the votes are not there, though, in the Indiana Senate to pass redistricting. Bray says the Senate would not be in session on Monday, but instead would meet a week later. Vice President J.D. Vance, the Second Family, and Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll and his family will be in Kentucky this afternoon. They'll be visiting Fort Campbell, which is on the border of Tennessee, and they'll provide remarks to service members prior to the Thanksgiving holiday. Vice President Vance and the Second Family will also join service members for a Thanksgiving meal at a Warrior restaurant on post. Governor Andy Beshear is joining a lawsuit suing the Trump administration over new conditions and cuts to a federal permanent housing program. The lawsuit says the White House has decided to end support for the Continuum of Care program through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The changes would put a 30% cap on funding that states can receive. Governor Beshear says it puts hundreds of people at risk of losing their homes. Beshear says the policy changes would also cut more than $15 million in federal funding to the Commonwealth. The lawsuit says none of the requirement changes have received congressional approval. At least 19 other states are also part of the lawsuit. A shortage in skilled trade workers is having an impact on Kentucky. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says more plumbers and electricians retire or leave the job each year than come into the profession. The Bureau says on average there are about 44,000 plumber openings each year. There are about 80,000 openings for electricians. That especially impacts rural areas. In Hazard, Kentucky, the owner of Good in Plumbing and Electric says if the number of trade workers continues to decline, he's not sure what the future will hold.
At one time, I was the youngest plumber in Kentucky. And now I'm probably hitting the oldest plumber in Kentucky. And nobody has replaced all the plumbers that have passed away and retired and moved off. And there's really only 2 or 3 of us in the whole Perry County that actually do service work.
Instructors at the Knott County Vocational School say they encourage students to explore other options for degree paths, and skilled labor trade certifications are needed now more than ever. People in the Portland neighborhood can look forward to the return of its library after a multi-million-dollar renovation. The branch on Northwestern Parkway is set to reopen to the public on December 6th. The nearly $9 million renovation project expanded the collection of books and materials and separated children's and teens areas. The grand reopening will feature free activities, book giveaways, and more. And a quick reminder for you here, the main library branch will be closed for renovations starting on Monday. Mayor Greenberg says other libraries will be offering extended hours to accommodate the change. Kentucky Lottery President and CEO Mary Harville says she plans to retire. The Morganfield native was the first woman and the second person from Kentucky to serve in the role over the last 3 decades. Governor Andy Beshear appointed Harville as the lottery president and CEO in September of 2020. During her last 5-year tenure, she's increased sales by more than $1 billion. Harville's retirement will start in February of next year. Governor Beshear has appointed the current executive vice president and chief revenue officer, Maggie Garrison, as the incoming president and CEO. We'll be right back with some national headlines right after this quick break. In a renewed push to end the war in Ukraine, President Donald Trump is sending his top envoy to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. U.S. officials say Ukraine has agreed to the conditions of a revised Trump-backed peace plan. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Fresh off meetings on the war in Ukraine between top Trump officials and a Russian delegation in the United Arab Emirates, President Trump projecting optimism that a long-sought peace deal could be near.
We're having good talks. We won't know for a little while, but we're making progress.
That after posting that tremendous progress has been made after an original proposal that was widely criticized for being too favorable to Russia was, quote, fine-tuned with input from both sides.
That was not a plan. It was a concept.
One U.S. official telling NBC News the Ukrainians have all but agreed to an updated peace deal, with the White House saying there are a few delicate but not insurmountable details to work out. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky pointed to adjustments made after U.S.-Ukraine negotiations in Geneva.
That framework is on the table, and we are ready to move forward.
Russia, though, is threatening to walk away because of those changes to the original proposal that initially called for Ukraine to give up a fifth of its territory, shrink its military, and back down from entering NATO. All red lines for Ukraine. President Trump now saying he's sending a top envoy to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, with other officials going to Ukraine, while offering this blunt assessment.
Look, this war could go on for years. And Russia's got a lot more people, got a lot more soldiers, you know. So I think if Ukraine can make a deal, it's a good thing. I think it's great for both.
The president adding he would meet with Putin and Zelensky only after a deal is reached.
Israeli forensic examiners have identified the remains of a deceased hostage returned from Gaza as those of Dror Or. In Hebrew, Dror means freedom or light. His family said his name described him perfectly, a free spirit spreading strong light around the world. Early yesterday, Hamas transferred the remains to Israel through the Red Cross. The handover leaves 2 deceased hostages, an Israeli and a foreign national from Thailand, still in Gaza from the October 7th, 2023 attack. The Justice Department is acknowledging Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem made the decision to allow deportation flights to El Salvador to continue despite a judge's order. The case involves President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act in order to speed up deportations of alleged members of a Venezuelan gang. The judge ordered the deportation flights to turn around, but they continued. According to the court filing, Noem received legal advice from top Justice Department officials regarding the court's order. That's when she directed the detainees who have been removed before the order to be sent to El Salvador. The Trump administration announced newly negotiated prices for 15 medications. Popular weight loss and diabetes treatment drugs, Ozempic and Wegovy, are on the list. Other drugs include treatments for various types of cancer, depression, and neurological diseases. The White House says the new prices will save about $12 billion on Medicare spending in 2027. It's unclear how much in savings individual people will see. Out-of-pocket expenses for Medicare beneficiaries will be capped to about $2,200 in 2027. Some Boar's Head labeled food items sold at Kroger stores in Kentucky and Indiana are being recalled because they may be contaminated with listeria. The recall is tied to some of its Pecorino Romano cheese products. The company distributes some of the cheese under the Boar's Head brand. The recall includes cheese sold in 6-ounce containers. It's not just those, though. They're also recalling 2 prepackaged deli items, which are the Ever-Roast Chicken Caesar Salad and Chicken Caesar Wrap. So if you have these items, you should throw them out. But good news, so far there are no reports of anyone getting sick. A former Campbell's Soup employee is taking legal action against the food giant and making some explosive allegations against one of the top executives. The former employee says he has an audio recording of a company vice president going on an hour-long tirade where he attacked the products and their customers. Erica Erickson sat down with that former employee who says he was fired after reporting the VP's tirade to company management.
We have for poor people. Who buys our
And that's just part of an over an hour-long rant, says former security analyst for Campbell's, Robert Garza of Monroe.
I don't buy Campbell's products barely anymore. It's not healthy. Now that I know what the in it, even in a can of soup, I look at it, look at meat, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. You?
The recording allegedly of Campbell's VP and Chief Information Security Officer Martin Bally.
He has no filter.
Bally, along with another supervisor and Campbell Soup Company, named in a lawsuit filed Thursday. The suit claiming Bally made racist remarks, admits to coming to work high, and Garza fired for coming forward.
What do you think about the things that he was saying?
Oh, just pure disgust.
Garza says he usually worked remotely for Campbell's headquarters based in Camden, New Jersey. But thinking he'd be discussing his salary with Bally, he says the recording taken in person at a restaurant.
They couldn't think for the themselves. I'm like, you dumb.
Garza says he felt sick after the rant, deciding to go to his direct supervisor in January, keeping the recordings to himself.
He had never had any disciplinary action. They had never written him up for poor work performance.
Garza says no one at Campbell's ever followed up, and it's taken him 10 months to find a new job, calling the way the canned soup company handled it simply terrible.
They have a motto, like we treat you like family, here at Campbell's, come work for us, we treat our employees like family. That's not the case.
We did just receive a statement from Campbell's. It says, quote, "If accurate, the comments in the recording are unacceptable. They do not reflect our values and the culture of our company. We are actively investigating this matter."
2 turkeys won't be on plates for Thanksgiving this year. That's because President Trump spared turkeys named Gobble and Waddle during the annual turkey pardoning ceremony on Tuesday. Gobble, the official White House turkey, is a 52-pound bird, while Waddle, the designated alternate, is a slender 50 pounds. Look at those majestic beasts right there. Both were hatched on July 14th. Now they're slated to go to North Carolina State University, where, according to the National Turkey Federation, they'll spend the rest of their days as ambassadors to the industry. They look a lot different than when they're on our plates. I think that's for sure. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with some sports headlines right after the break. A Kentucky basketball legend returns home to Rupp Arena tonight as the UK men's basketball team faces off against Tennessee Tech. Kentucky native and basketball legend John Pelphrey will make his return coaching against his alma mater. Pelphrey came to Lexington after a storied high school career in Paintsville. After redshirting his first year, Pelphrey would go on to score over 1,000 points and was a member of the group of the Cats who became known as the Unforgettables. Tip-off for tonight's game is set for 7 o'clock, and you can watch that game on SEC Network. And more single game tickets for UK men's basketball games are on sale. They still have some available for the games against Bellarmine, Mizzou, Texas, Oklahoma, and Georgia. And you can find seats through Ticketmaster. Well, after winning on Monday night, the Louisville men's basketball team has a chance to leave November undefeated, facing off against New Jersey Institute of Technology tonight. On Monday, the Cards knocked off Eastern Michigan by a final score of 87-46, pushing their record to 6-0, marking the first time they've been undefeated through 6 games since the 2019-2020 season. Tonight is faculty and staff night with all campus community members able to purchase discounted tickets. Tonight will be a late one as tip-off is set for 9 o'clock at the KFC Yum Center, and you can watch it on the ACC Network. Moving now to some flag football action. Assumption was looking to end with a perfect regular season and a state championship win. The game featured Assumption taking on Mercy. The Rockets hit the scoreboard first as Reese Owens scores the 2-yard touchdown run. The Rockets took the 6-0 lead, but in the second quarter, Carson Hodges hits her teammate for the 3-yard touchdown pass. The Rockets took a 13-0 lead into the half. In the final play of the game, though, Mercy looking to tie it, but Audrey Hines comes up with the interception in the end zone. That's the nail in the coffin. Assumption holds on to win it 13-6.
Let's just say this is a special group of seniors that we've been with for a little while now. This is our second year with them. We've got some relationships, on the team with some of the girls this year. And it's just special. They're all fun, but this was just a special group of young ladies.
And this was the second state championship for the Rockets in 2 years. Big congratulations to them. The University of Kentucky women's volleyball team played in the SEC Tournament Championship. It's the first SEC tournament in 20 years. The game featured the 3-seeded Texas Longhorns against the 1-seed Kentucky Wildcats. And this was a thriller here. The Cats swept the Longhorns in Austin back on November 2nd. Texas looked good early in this one, claiming the first and second sets. They needed just one more to win the championship, but that's when things took a turn. The Cats took set 3, 26-24. Then they won set 4 by a score of 25-22. It all came down to that 5th and final set. The Cats able to win it 15-9, completing the reverse sweep and claiming the championship.
Well, it said a lot to us as a staff in that third set to be able to pull that out. I mean, the guts, the grit, the toughness, resiliency of our team to be able to come back from 7-2, 3 match points for Texas to be able to win that third set was massive. And, anything worthy in life is earned, and these guys earned every bit of it.
The Cats end the regular season with a perfect record in the SEC and look to be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And if you've never watched college volleyball, I will tell you, it is some incredible stuff, and especially the postseason. It gets really exciting. That's all the time we have here for Sunrise Extra. And with the holidays for Thanksgiving, if I can get the words out, already on Thanksgiving break already, Thanksgiving and Black Friday, we will not have Sunrise Extra, so make sure you wake up early with us for Sunrise starting at 4:30 until 7 o'clock. Hope you have a great day and a happy Thanksgiving.